Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate. The development of the Keshe Foundation medical equipment has resulted in many different devices within the Foundation's medical inventory. One of these medical devices is the plasma ball unit. The plasma ball unit mainly consists of several spheres which are mounted on motors and therefore rotate at certain speeds, which can be regulated using a controller. Inside the spheres, different types of ganses in different physical states can be placed. The combination of ganses of various field spectra are used and concentrated to balance the fields and hence the matter of the human body. The plasma ball unit is built of high-quality materials and can be applied very flexibly. Thanks to the articulated arms mounted on a casted frame, every shielded motor can be moved freely in all directions. Materials used for the plasma ball unit are laser-cut and powder-coated stainless steel for the base frame, on which 3 sockets for the carbon fiber rods are fixed. On these vertical carbon fiber rods, the articulated arms, mainly out of carbon fiber, are mounted and can be moved freely. Thanks to the articulations, many geometries can be achieved to address every part of the body and create different types of concentrated fields. A maximum of 8 articulated arms can be mounted on a single casted frame, and 2 frames can be placed opposite one another so as to increase the number of articulated arms that can be positioned around a lying body. The plasma ball unit is a CE-certified medical Type 1 device and is delivered as a kit. Most of the components are pre-assembled, and completing the assembly takes a maximum of 15 minutes. The price of a plasma ball unit with 4 articulated arms is €4,900 excluding VAT and shipping. Payment by installments is possible. €2,500 when you order, €1,250 on delivery, and the rest 1 month later. The plasma ball unit can be ordered at http://store.keshefoundation.org. Order today and bring balance back to your life and the lives of those you care for.
Plasma products found at keshefoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. bring comfort back to your feet, and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula. CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance. European certified. Pain Relief Pen emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin. CE certified. The Magrav's Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshefoundation.org/store or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.
It's time for change to move into the real work of the universe. And it's time to understand that we use the matter state to reach the level of understanding of the soul of the man. Now you understand maybe why the Creator has sent His messengers in the name of whatever you have had. Is that they bring the ears, that it can be used when the time of the Messiah comes. They can teach the soul and the messenger, not to oppose. But by them understanding through those who have become Messiahs, to give from their souls to these to elevate, the job is made easy. The school is there and the students are devotedly there. Then there won't be any fight between what they call the Muslims and the Christians. The lamb and the lion will eat and sleep in the same nest. The Christians and the Muslims will sleep and pray in the mosque and in the same church in the name of their souls, not in the name of religion that is used to create so much conflict for the benefit of those who were the hyperactive children. The time has come, the time of change is here. And as I said, my wish is my command. If it's your wish to see peace, the path of peace is laid very clearly. It's the soul of the collective awareness. By giving will create that position of change. No other thing. There is no pen in the soul of the man. And I'm sure once you go into the universal community, you will never see anything written but the balance of the fields of the soul of the existence. Try to be humble enough not to become arrogant in the power that you have understood and you possess. Otherwise, you'll fall in the same path of the church and the mosque. This is what we promised, and this is what we have delivered. We have to understand the operation of the soul, and we have to understand the soul of the man is a star. In cosmos of the universe. If we compare the soul of the man and many of us, 7 billion in one collection, Earth is like a galaxy with so many stars. When we look in the depth of the universe, we see galaxies with hundreds of millions of stars in it. So is the planet Earth. It carries 7 billion beautiful stars, which are the soul of the man. Carries with it soul of so many trillions of animals, plants, and everything else. So if you look, when someone who does not see the physicality of the earth and its content, what do they see? They see a galaxy with so many beautiful lights shining, each one according to their strength, each one according to their position. An infant has a beautiful soul, so has the old man. To those who do not see the physical dimension of this planet, but they see the strength of the field, we are clusters of stars. The human race, every single soul, no one from a distance sees that's the soul of a fisherman, that's the soul of the cosmologist, that's the soul of the president. They all shine irrespective of the physicality. This is the magic. This is what the new science has to bring to man. When we look through our soul, we see nothing but a star in the other souls. And this is the break. This is the understanding. This is what all these teachings are about. Coming to mature to the next level, to understand in the deep space, the universe is the oyster for those souls who serve. Then man is ready to go into space. Then man is ready to become part of the universal community which has been promised. I never promised you heaven. I always promised you the elevation of the man to join the family. And now you have the key. It's you who has to open the door to understand, if I can raise the soul of these people or millions of other souls, that the physical life on this planet changes, then I'm worthy to be part of the universal community. To be there to serve, to expand. To be there, to be part, that in the cycle of life of universe, I become, in being part, I become part of the totality. When man reaches that point, a new dimension in the strength of the soul of the man will appear, which is beyond imagination of understanding of the physical life. It's the gate to the opening of the new life, in a new dimension, which is beyond imagination of what you might call a new beginning, a new cycle. Which that cycle carries with itself the origin of the creation of life in the universe and in the universe. It's the elevation of the soul to serve become the key, not a throne of the physical life. The time is right. The time has come for the man to go through this process.
Welcome everyone to the 247th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, October 25th, 2018. I'm your host, Rick Crammon, today, and this is a presentation of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, Public Teaching in English. And as usual, in the past 246 Knowledge Seekers Workshops, we are joined by Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, and I believe he's eager to begin today's teaching. Mr. Keshe, are you ready, willing, and able?
All three, yes. Good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to these Knowledge Seeker series. As we see, the Knowledge Seekers are extending and expanding, and every day we see new people online, new people finding out, and in so many ways trying to expand the horizon of their knowledge as we do. We haven't completed the knowledge gain, long way to go, but in that process we still have managed to pass centuries of ignorance of the truth about facts of creation on this planet.
Mr. Keshe, can I just mention one thing that's directly relevant to that I was going to mention today, which is that we're now in our YouTube channel at 2,026 videos that have been uploaded. So there's now more videos than every year since Christ was born, essentially.
What do you mean?
Congratulations. This is the year 2018. We've exceeded that one video for every year since the beginning of our centuries, basically, of our modern time and the way we measure it here. So we have 2,026 videos now that have been uploaded. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's the totality of us, not just one. In so many ways, we started the process, and as we speak, as we see, many people are trying to reach.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Did we lose him there?
Yes, he dropped out.
Okay.
As I said, it's one of those days. We are back. It's we're going to have a trouble time. Can you hear me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It seems that we're going to have a terrible time today. It's to do with the weather, I presume. The reception is not that good. What is interesting is that we need to, as I said, as it says, be humble enough to accept that it's time, and collectively all of us, we are doing what we can into bringing the changes about. How far and how do we see things, how we can approach things, how we comprehend the totality of the knowledge. I was thinking past few days, as I've done in past few weeks, trying to go into the roots and see what has not been understood, what has been understood, and at the same time to add to the basic knowledge. The basic knowledge is very profoundly correct, but a lot of us get somehow lost in the whole structure, understanding the basics of it. But now that we come into plasma, the operation of the plasma, operation of the work of everything else which we've been taught, it needs some clarification, it needs some more understanding, we need to add depth to it. Today in the teachings, I'll try to go to the basic of the teachings, basic of the knowledge of the plasma. Separation between the fields and rays and how they come to be what it is. And in so many ways, we built upon the knowledge, and as we see, many knowledge seekers are endeavoring to understand more themselves, adding more knowledge to all of us, to our knowledge, and see where we can go. As many of you know, last week the core team has met, and we asked, and what was discussed and requested and sits with the core team, and many of you, we asked you to support us, was to see how we can use the what we call recalling of the core team to support the wishes of the Keshe Foundation. Core team of the Keshe Foundation is more or less sacrosanct. We sit there, we have no what we call expectation. We are all be there to serve. We've been, most of us, from the beginning there. The number of them has always been there. We do not count on the physicality, we count on the soul of the presence. In that process, the core team met, and what has been discussed and what we consider is creation of peace. And as we see the situation at the moment, we have a number of points which has risen. And in discussion of the core team, we try to concentrate on what is needed to be done, because core team is well known for their work in this way, and they establish what they wish. They have always achieved in their endeavor to attain perfection and reach most of what they wish to do, even if it means taking time. The core team met, and one wish which we all have is to bring peace. The establishment of peace we see in danger in the coming week, from the 1st of November, when relentless efforts are put by one nation, or actually two nations, which is one is the United States and one state of Israel, the 52nd state of the United States, to create mayhem in Middle East by sanctions on Iran. Whatever reason they see is their right, but what the reason the Keshe Foundation and the core team sees is to elevate the soul of the world leaders who are involved in this endeavor, to elevate their souls. And what we discussed and what we came to understand is the world leaders need and have reached the position they are on the shoulder of those who support them from even when they are there. In a way, no one knows them. But there is a backbone into success of these people, and it's called the wife presidents. Some of them endeavor to be part of the whole establishment, and some of them are pushed to the front and being put there. So what the core team has asked, and asked for the Keshe Foundation support, is to elevate the soul of the presidents and their wives, especially their wives, that by their elevating, there are those who whisper to the ear of the presidents, and most of us as men, we know when it comes to what we call wife, we are absolutely powerless. And we always listen, and we always, in so many ways, obey. And what it is to elevate the soul of the wife of the presidents and the presidents, to listen to the message of peace and elevate each other's soul, that in rebounding from each other, we achieve peace in the correct way. In this game, to start, there are a number of people who are actually directly involved as presidents, world leaders. One is Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran, His Eminence. One is His Excellency President Rouhani of Iran. And one of the main key players in this process is His Excellency President Xi of China. He has brought a lot of balance. And with it, he has become a key player in peace, in world peace. None of the things we see, the end of wars comes if China would have not taken the position they've taken for the past 20, 30 years. Chinese government decides to be developing than warring and getting involved in conflict. At the same time, American President, His Excellency President Trump, has shown a path of war, the same as is embedded in the White House through his son-in-law, the State of Israel. As we know, President Trump has married his daughter to a Kohen of the State of Israel, one of the richest families, and they're dictating most of the terms in the White House. So we pray for both President Trump His Excellency Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel. These things need to be done, and as you see on the screen, the names and the name of their wives have been released, that with it we elevate the souls, that through them we bring peace. I've seen many changes in past few days, and we sit to see the changes to come. We cannot force peace, but we can change course of peace. Gun and gunmanship, now that we understand the process of the soul of the man, is over. A soul is more powerful than a bullet, and in so many ways, the bullet of the soul has no physicality, but can reach every soul. And one of the main features of the coming time is peace, and implemented through China. Every successful man has a successful woman behind him, and we see the pictures of His Excellency President Xi and his wife. And in that process, Penguin is a cornerstone for Xi to succeed. Would we see the same from President Trump of United States? We have to understand, elevating the soul of the people changes the physicality of the man. If we change the soul or elevate the soul of these world leaders and their wives, maybe through them we elevate the soul of the whole humanity, as they are together majority. In so many ways, most of us don't agree with a lot of our leaders because we didn't vote for it or we've been forced to it, but at the end of the day, they are the ones who lead us. So what the core team has asked is the elevation of the soul of these world leaders and their wives, that through their wives we reach the leaders, and through them reach peace. What we call everything else will take a second place, as core team has asked, and some of you will listen to these teachings different times of the day, in different points and different the space of gaps in your lives, driving, reading, during your sleep or whatever. It is time for us to take a minute of silence. We usually take a minute of silence when somebody passes away to elevate their soul. This time we take a silence to elevate the world leaders and their wives to achieve peace. And it's important that we bring to play the true man of peace. And in so many ways, if you look at all these people, they all have one thing in common. They want the best for their nations. And none of them is there to destroy their nations. But some of them, their nationhood stretches beyond their borders. And some of them, their nationhood stretches beyond understanding of many of us. World leaders need more support than the rest of us. They carry a heavy shoulder and many, many responsibilities. As we set up one nation, one planet, one race, the world leaders stand the same. So as the core team has requested, we take a minute of silence to elevate the soul of every world leaders we see on the screen and their wives, that will be achieve peace. Thank you very much. I think all of them need elevation. When the core met, we usually take a leader at a time, and each member of the core team supports the soul of one leader. What the core team decided this time is that collectively we support the 10. And hopefully we'll see the result. We ask you to support in every day. You remember to elevate the soul. You will not lose much, you'll gain much more. And this is what we need. This is what we see, and this is what is to stand. The main player in this game is President of China, without a shadow of a doubt. And one of the worst things to do for all of us to pick one and not the other. But to elevate the soul, it shows that we have matured. We have reached the point of maturity. We have understood the position and our own strength of our own soul. Thank you very much. This is a request from the core team of the Keshe Foundation. And if any members of the core team would like to participate or add, please join in, please.
Well, I'd like to, as a member of the core team, I'd just like to say I'm present for that wish for these world leaders and their wives to engage in communications such that we are able to progress with peace on this planet. And may we reach their souls. That seems to be the only way to achieve that goal.
I had a very interesting idea. You know, these world leaders are fighting each other, trying to say who's right, who's wrong, not their wives. Why don't we invite all the wives to meet? Forget about the world leaders, and then we get to what we like.
I had the exact same vision a couple of days ago about that. I just thought if the women got together and planned wars, would they? First of all, how would they treat each other in terms of their dialogue? Would it be, the same as, say, just looking at Trump and Iran, for example, or US and Iran? Sometimes the dialogue there gets quite aggressive. Would the women be the same way, or would they have a whole different approach to the matter? I think they would.
There is a club called the World Leaders Wives Clubs, and they meet sometimes on regular basis. I know a couple of presidents' wives who are very proud to be part of this organization. The present presidents or ex-presidents, and they have access to each other. Not many people know this. And some of them work in the background together to do things. And I wonder if the world leaders' wives talk to each other. Would President Rouhani of Iran wife will call Trump's wife and say, what we're going to do with our husbands? Shall we feed them tonight, or shall we punish them tonight? That they both sit and talk properly to each other. These are interesting points that maybe the Universal Council and the members of the core team women can look into in bringing the world leaders' wives together through it to teach them peaceful manners, peaceful way, the way we do, and we plan to do, and the way we elevate the soul of man through knowledge and sharing it freely. Interesting point is, would they talk to each other, or would they sit away from each other? Or would they sit down and say, we better do some ear twisting and bring these guys together to speak? There's no need to fight. Because mothers have children and they care for their children. And all these world leaders have children. And sometimes the arrogance of time takes over there. pride of the man. Anything else from any other members of the core team? Do we have anything?
Maybe Armin might have something to say. Armin, is anything you'd like to put in about that? Trying to see who else is on the list here.
They're all there. Sandra is there. Vince is there. If you have any input from members of the Universal Council as part of these people are covered by your languages.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. It's
Yes,
Caroline.
another woman. This is another woman behind the Keshe Foundation.
I'm representing the Universal Council language Netherlands, Dutch. I am present in the wish.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. This is Gatwa. I represent the Gikuyu language, the Universal Council, and I'm present in your wish to elevate the souls of these leaders and their wives. Thank you very much indeed.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ursula Colombier. I am the representative of the UC Spanish community, and we are present in this wish to elevate the soul of all those politicians and their wives.
Good morning. It's Pete, the Universal Council for the Polish Language. The soul of the Polish community unites in this wish, and we support the wish of the core team for peace and elevating the souls of these leaders and their wives. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am Paul Yatut Magima, representative of Universal Council of Mobile Language. I support peace by elevating the soul of world leader. I am present.
Hello, everyone. This is Hao, the UC member for Mandarin. I'm present with the wish to elevating the soul of world leaders and their wives.
Hello, this is Caroline from the German-speaking area, UC from the German language. The German soul is present in this wish.
Good morning, this is Azar, Universal Council Farsi. I wish that Mr. Khamenei's wife pick up the phone and call President Trump's wife to reach for world peace, to bring world peace. I'm present. Thank you.
Good morning. This is Jamila. I am representing Arabic nation. I am present. All the soul of Arabic nation is present. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Armin Gouram. Sorry, my hands were dirty. I am present for it. We made a wish and I'm present for it.
Armin is a member of the core team of the Keshe Foundation. We have a member of the Earth Council, Alex, available, present.
I am John, representative of the Spanish language. I am present with the wish of the council and the core team.
This is Mashfaq Rashid. I represent Bengali language in the Universal Council. I'm present.
Lisa from member of the Earth Council is available, is present. Anyone from the Earth Council would like to participate?
Hello, I'm Alex Egban, a member of the Earth Council representing Africa. I'm present.
I'm Rodrigo Vildosola from Earth Council, present on elevating the soul of the wives, every world leaders.
I hope that we reach the point that the whole humanity elevates the soul of a very few that can touch the soul of many. In so many ways, peace talks, bringing peace between nations is not an easy job. It is very hard to understand why these people take positions and why they do it and how they see their rights to do it and how they push the boundary of the human endurance in accepting pain and suffering for no reason. There's no reason for war, there's no reason for tools of war, but somehow man over centuries has chosen this path. And it's now time to mature and move away from it. It's time to mature and understand the science of man has reached a point that goes beyond this planet. And there is no war in space. And the time when the man matures and walks away from war is the time that man can walk into the universal community and the universe will be open to the man. Do we choose the path of suffering or do we choose the path of elevation of physicality and the soul of the man? Gradually we'll move away from the hand of the world leaders and it'll be in the hand of every soul. Many world leaders decide to play games to show they have power. And in so many ways, many world leaders are still children in the nursery of the knowledge of man. And so many ways they need to be elevated, to be educated more than anything else. I thank the Universal Council, the Earth Council and the core team. And please, this does not stop today. This, every time, if you remember any time, raise the soul of the prayer of the world leaders, that through that elevation we achieve and we reach the point of world peace. We are putting a lot of effort in this job. It's not a simple matter of just one day and 1 week. I have made a commitment to peace and the foundation will stand on the same strength. And in a coming time, when man reaches peace, I wonder what he's going to do and look at the past, what he's done to himself and others. Most probably, most of them will be ashamed of what they've done. Going back to the teaching of the Keshe Foundation, the science of knowledge and science of understanding the knowledge goes back to the basics of the teaching. How far we can go and what we can reach in understanding the fundamental principles of the technology. In the past few weeks, we're talking about plasma, we're talking about the fields, we're talking about the rays, we're talking about how, what, and what becomes rays, and what is the field, and what is a plasma in its own structure. Most of us, when we are asked what is the plasma, we say it's a bunch of fields. But maybe in the science of man, in the language of the science of man, maybe we have to explain it a little bit further. What is the difference between the GANs and an atom? What is the difference? The matter clothes the president. The GANs creates the president. The matter is what a man puts on himself to manifest the weakness within the structure of his physicality. Where what we call the GANs or the plasma is the creator of the man. One is fields, and one is fields in a matter of tangibility of its stability. What does this mean? Where do we and how do we explain the difference between the matter and the plasma? Where we say, what creates a plasma and what becomes the matter? As I said, the plasma makes the present, and the matter makes the clothes of the present. In so many ways, many of you have a problem in explaining what a plasma is when a man of science asks you. Say it's a bunch of fields. But it's more than that. It's so energetic that plasma can manifest itself in the size and the shape that can be seen by the eye of the man, where the atom needs collection. When you can see an entity in the size of itself, it means it has more energy, more fields to show. If I ask you, and I repeat this again, that what is the difference? How any of you can explain or try to explain what is the difference between a matter and a plasma, or a GANs as we call it? How do we describe it? How do we see it? The easiest way that it can be understood is so many ways. It's a jacket inside out. This is the atom. If you turn this atom, the jacket of it, to give the freedom of its fields, now this is your plasma, where the jacket now sits inside and the inside has opened up outside. It's the easiest way, the simplest way you can explain. It's like having a sheep, and you, the skin of a sheep, and you turn it inside out. all those hairs outside, they're like the rays. And when you turn it in, it becomes a solid, and it just becomes the skin. It's the same thing. Where in a matter state, we see the skin. Where in a plasma state, we see the fields. We literally turn the structure of the field's interaction in the dimension of the environment, or in the dimension of the field, the strength of inner self of the atom. There is no easier way to explain. And so when you turn the skin out, you have a bigger dimension. You have all the hairs, all the wool has to be everywhere. When you turn it in, you can squeeze it and you have the toughness and you have the physicality. Where there is a hair of the wool of the ship, you get your fingers through it, it's soft, it goes everywhere. So for those of you who had or have a problem in explaining what's the difference between a plasma and a matter, is a plasma is when you get into the matter atom and you turn the atom open and it releases its fields. And this is the easy and the beauty of explaining such beautiful knowledge. We become more and more knowledgeable, so we should be able to explain the knowledge in a simpler way. With the matter state, which is the skin, everything is inside. All the wool hairs, all the strands of the hair, they're all in, but nothing comes out. When you turn the skin inside out, all the wool, every single hair is one ray, radiates, short, long. One goes the other way and one goes the other way. So in this way, we can understand and explain the true meaning of plasma in a simple way where a child can understand. And this is the reality between the matter and the plasma. Is the atom inside out, we call it the plasma, where it shows all its fields, all its, what is it made of. But still the skin sits inside to hold the plasma together, where now the skin inside becomes the principle, becomes the holder of everything together. Those of you who understand and can explain the plasma in this way, it can guide many people to understand the principle of the GANs. What it is. Gas in nano state we call it, but in fact it's a plasma opened up and it shows its beauty. That's what it shines, that's what it's white, and it shows itself. In many ways, the present science has chosen 2 points of reference. We call it the white shift or the red shift. If it comes to us, or is it going away from us? Why is it white when it comes to us? And why is it red when it goes away from us? How do we explain this in the world of plasma? There is one thing which is very important to all of us, and this is to understand what is the creator of what we call a field, an array. Where is the line? How do we explain the array? How do we explain field? Why sometimes light is a particle, and why is sometimes light a ray? In so many ways, we need rays to make a field where we have many rays within the field which can become rays themselves. What makes a ray to move? What makes any entity to move? Can a ray become a plasma? Or can a field become a plasma? The possibility of a ray to become a plasma is as much as a field which can become a plasma. Because a field, as we know now, or a ray, as we know now, needs a point of reference that is stronger than itself. When the field moves, it means in giving to reach. It has to be stronger, that it can move to a weaker, but does not hold gravity. It does not have the reverse field with it. Rays are singularity of the direction of the motion. In the process of reaching and receiving, they become fields. Where the fields have possessed the tool as in so many shapes as a plasma. When the two magnetic field of the planets like Earth and the magnetic field of the, let's say, the Sun, both gravitational and magnetical, interact with each other, what do we get? We get a mishmash of both rays and fields, where the balance between the four field forces creates a particle behavior, where the residual, which one of these left on its own, becomes a ray. All the magnetic fields are not exactly the same strength, and in some point and the other, they become separated. They have no matching opposite with them. Then they become a ray. The magnetic field does not have the gravitational field at that point due to interruption or whatever of the strength of itself to manifest themselves to become a ray. In the teaching of last few weeks, I referred to this knowledge because it's important to be understood, and it seems that many of you have not understood. When you have a field, you have to have both. Both the gravitational and magnetic. But there is another point to the whole of this discussion. As you are a magnetical, or if you are gravitational, as I explained before, you have a different position. If we take the field comes out and it spreads. It's the same field. That's the mother field with the highest strength. And it opens up. But for the gravitational field, it's a different story. It has to get through to be able to join. It's got a harder task. It needs a higher strength. Where the magnetical field open into the space, where gravitational has to get in between the space. the order of magnitude is 4 times logarithmic. And then it builds up. The higher strength you go in the curvature of the plasma, the order increases to the 40 and to the 400s and plus, if you think of it that way. And at every point of increase, there is a new dimension of understanding and new knowledge. Because the characteristics of the element changes according to the strength of the gravitational magnetic field. At every point, gravity and the magnetic fields have to match. And then one increases inwards while the other one decreases down. This you do not understand at the moment, but in a coming time you will understand the gravity of this knowledge. How important it is. In the common language, if you understand it, you call it a sound barrier in the matter state. At a given point of gravitational magnetical field, there is a continuation and the strength needs to go through what we call different barriers of the magnetic strength of the plasma. You cannot see the one behind if you have not reached the point of conversion. For you, does not exist. This is very much the way, even if you listen to the introduction part of this session today, applies to the soul of the man. When the totality of the soul of the man become peaceful, man will pass a threshold of receiving more in a higher strength than giving to the lower. Because what is important at this junction, you are receiving equal from 4 sides. Again the same, the planets and Earth and the Sun interacted. It's a point of balance. And when this point of balance reaches, gravitational magnetic field reaches a point that moves inwards because it gains more as it's coming in, plus itself which has been attained. And man enters the next elevation of the understanding. You understand different. You comprehend totally new dimension. At this moment, we are trying to push man to reach the first, what we call it, the plasma point of interaction. That elevates the soul of the man. That the man sees more, that elevation of the soul elevates the physicality of the man. And then would there be a need for man to attain physicality? The totality of the knowledge of the plasma technology on the banner of the Keshe Foundation is the knowledge of the Creator. And not the knowledge of man. Once the man understands and comprehends the depth of the knowledge of the creation, man will become wise to have his eyes open to elevate his own soul, to see through the eye of the soul of the man, which is comprehension of the totality and not singularity of the existence of one physicality. Then it becomes, when you understand more, why and how you create fields, and how you become to divide the fields and interact the fields, and at any point reach the point of material state in that strength. Look at the book number 3. You see it. The field of the two comes and interact. They create a new matter state that is necessary. Today's teaching is going in depth of the basics of the understanding of the technology. Because many of you have not grasped this, and many of you who are practicing it and trying to develop different systems have got stuck with it. Which means you cannot go to the next step, because it has not understood. It has not been fully understood, so you are stuck. And then there is something wrong with the teaching. The only thing which is wrong with the teaching is that you have not understood. Try to step up in understanding the simple part of the teaching, and then the complicated part becomes simple. It's easy to teach, but it's very hard to understand. Depends on the point of understanding of the teacher or the learner. Are there any questions up to this point?
We just had a little glitch in the transmission there at one point. It was noted by Shander. We lost about 5 seconds when you were introducing the idea of the magnetic fields reaching off into space, I believe it was. And just before, I think you were about to say magnetic, and you were drawing that image on the right there with the blue. We lost just part of that sentence that was kind of critical. Perhaps you could just go back briefly and describe that that interaction with the magnetical and gravitational.
Where? Can you tell me where? There's a lot of blues and reds.
Well, it was on the right-hand side of the screen that we see there, and the blue tendrils that were reaching up, the magnetical fields. Just as you were drawing that, we lost about 5 seconds.
You see, the magnetical direction is the free flow. The gravitational is compression. So as the fields flow out as a magnetical, they are free. They push. Where when you become gravitational, you get pushed on. You have to enforce where the other one is the freedom. In magnetical fields, as we flow in, we need more energy to get through. In the gravitational. Where in the magnetical, we have the freedom to go where we like. There is less resistance here than here. The choice of the word is very hard, but the explanation of the understanding of the totality of the knowledge is very easy. And many of you have got lost in this pattern. In this, what's on the screen, many of you have got lost. And that's why you cannot move into the next step. Part of the teaching last week I was trying to explain was very simple. You have fields in your basic reactors. But what you forget, you have fields in your reactors too. The balance between these gives you the direction of the field. And this is part of the teaching, especially those who are involved in the space technology have not understood for months, years. You're dealing with plasma, which means it's dynamic in both ways. And it's dynamic in every direction. The process of interaction of the fields and compression of the plasma is the secret to man's access to the universe. Until you don't understand this, you will have a lot of problems. When you look at the skin of the man, you have the fields of the layers, where the interaction of the fields gives the plasma of the layer, but in fact it gives the physicality of existence of the fields. You need one to be able to create the other, while the other's creation depends on the existence of the first order of itself. So what we see is not that difficult. What we see is the ease that the field and matter intermingle and they change. And as it was said today, in the Keshe Foundation, you have managed to achieve, to understand how fields change to energy and energy change to fields, and in that interaction they create the matter state or the plasma state, depending where we are. This is important for us to take the step to understand. The top layer of the skin of the man leads to the creation of the middle layer. By the existence of the middle layer, we give the conformation to the other two. But the skin of the man has got two sides. You have arm left, inside and outside. So now this has to interact with the other side if this is the skin of one side and the other. So your skin is not just there, it has interaction with this side. And the balance between the two dictates what sits in between and where the bone shall be and where the muscle shall be. We look at this skin on this side is on its own, but the position, the shape, the color, and the size and the thickness of the skin dictates this too. And if you work in the space technology and you ignore this, you always will have a problem. But at the same time, the existence confirmation of this to exist, it needs to create that plasma field of its own that can lead to manifestation of the physicality. when you look at the skin of the man, when man matures enough to understand further in the structure, the skin of your hand is totally different structural wise than the skin of your upper arm. This supports longer strength field. This supports shorter strength field. So the skin of the man dictates the position of the bone and the thickness of the bone, and not vice versa. You got to remember that the brain was grown first, and the brain is part of the skin. And that's what leads to positioning of the bone structure. This is the same in your space technology. When you understand this, then you understand how you create the floors and the walls of your spaceship. How is created? By the strength and the condition of the skin, you dictate the size and the strength of the floor, and the dimension and diameter of the whole spaceship. There is no difference than the skin of the man and the skin of a spaceship. It's exactly the same. With the difference that with the skin of the man, we don't see that kind of motion. But with the spaceship, due to dynamism, we see what we call the skin of the spaceship. When man matures and travels the depth of the universe, you will see spaceships which have no physicality, or the spaceships that are to you like a jelly. But it confirms the existence of what it needs to be inside it. Human body needs bone. Not every creature in the universe has bone, where the gravitational magnetic field of the skin dictates what shape is going to be. Why does some reptiles or some animals have no bone? Because the skin cannot support and create a condition of the solid state. And then for it to be able to give a structure to physicality. These are parallel knowledge we have to learn if we want to create a spaceship, or we want to create anything to be part of the space of the universe. The knowledge has to be understood in its totality, and not with the prejudice of present knowledge and man's ego and lack of understanding of totality. The world of science has to be in balance with the world and understanding of the soul of the man, and through it, what we call the condition which the soul creates for it to exist, what we call the conscious of the soul. One cannot exist without it. If man has a conscious, if man has a feeling, so where did that come from? If the soul of the man does not have. These are what you have to learn. Then, in the space of the universe, you see the consciousness, you see the behavior of entity through a soul. You have not seen, but you have to live with it. But you have to understand it. The chap has no bones because in the structure of his skin, from one side to another, does not support solid state. Why don't you have in some animals in the sea any bone? Why don't you have a bone in a worm? Because of the state of the strength of the layers of the skin and no others. So the same applies to the skin of your spaceship. Can the spaceship which you create feel the strength support bone structure for the man? Physicality of the man? Or would it change the man that the bone and the strength of the matter state of the bone cannot be supported? Does not mean that you die. Does not mean that will be the end. It means now another state of the strength of the skin is needed to support the motion or the physicality of the conformation of existence. You will come across all these. Your offsprings in the coming time, traveling depth of the space, will experience this. So we have to be prepared, we have to understand how our physicality dictated by the, exactly as I said, the skin of the ship inside out. Do you want to be the plasma which dictates the skin, or do you want the skin to dictate the physicality? The understanding of totality of the knowledge, and not to be prejudiced to one because you learn the other, will be a key point for man to understand the operation of the universe. You have to stay open-minded, you have to stay very impartial, that you can educate yourself with all the knowledge of the universe. The minute you take position and side is the point that you have reached the point of stagnation. You will not go any further. And this is what has happened to man. Man cannot go any step further because he has dictated that position to confirm his own existence. The teachings, as I keep on saying, is become very fine-tuned because a lot of you will start moving. A lot of people are researching and developing very, very little reactors. Those huge metal reactors we created at the beginning and then have become 2 little reactors, and now we need no dimensional reactors. Very soon you will see plasma rotation without physicality. Then you can create any spaceship. With my teachings, what I'm trying to teach you is to take a lot of pain and development and understanding over millions and millions of years. Be pushing mankind, some of those who understand, to the next level, that the present level becomes worthless to be because we are already 1 level higher. What are we doing with this? But those people have to understand that you were in this position before and people tolerate. So we have to understand that the point of maturity of the knowledge has reached point of turning. Very soon, once you will see this transformation, as I said to you, the Keshe Foundation research teams have already achieved this, then you understand the time of the motors and the engines and so on. And then you understand how the next generation of the science through the plasma technology comes into play. I encouraged this a few weeks ago, and now some of the Keshe Foundation research centers have achieved it. Rotation of the plasma without any motor. At the speed they dictate. They still need to mature. In the coming weeks, we will show this. In the coming time, you will see this, that we have passed the point of maturity of the man to the next step in the creation of plasma, in control of plasma, and with it through the emotion and the soul of the man. Got a motor, but it's very easy when the reactor is made of the same fields as your emotion. We have reached breakthrough points a few weeks ago, and now more people are understanding how to do it. And as the knowledge is shared through the soul of the man, others will be enlightened and will achieve it. So in so many ways, the old song says, goodbye generators and turbines and everything else, and the wheels and the carts and the rest of it. Because if you understand the rotation of the plasma in a perpetual condition, then you don't need a turbine or a magnetic field or a coil or a winding to create energy or to release energy. It becomes the same as the rotation of the plasma of the sun and the earth, which leads to creation of everything. The Keshe Foundation research teams are in their infancy, they have achieved it, and 2 teams have passed this point, and very soon you will see that in interaction of the fields without physicality, you will start seeing creation of matters and everything else. We are reaching that point of maturity. I can show you a video of it, 2 videos of it, and through it we understand more and more the creation of more of the rhythm and the creation of everything else. You got to go to the level that the reality that as Earth has no containment for its what I call fields, and the fields pass its boundary of its physicality, the same should be from now on in the reactors of the Keshe Foundation development and research. Any questions?
Good morning, Mr. Keshe.
Sorry. Good morning, Azar.
Mr. Keshe, when you talk about the field and energy, and you said that in respect of the relationship of them, you can have either plasma or matter, but our body is both plasma and matter, so how does that work?
Our body is totally plasma, but it manifests itself in the illusion of matter.
So the relationship of the field to the energy, so it carries both of them?
Of course. In one of the space reactors in China, we transfer the plasma energy and the current, as I said before, the matter current states, what you call voltage and whatever, on the same platform. The both can exist. The both exist, and some of the energy of the plasma converts into the matter state, and some of the energy of the matter in being released becomes part of the plasma.
But when we say in respect, what's the relationship of the field to the energy? You can have either plasma or matter.
Is the point of what they call the, I just explained in the teaching, a point of balance, a point of what they call the barrier, the point of conversion. You reach a point that the fields of the environment and field of the plasma in interaction slows enough that to you and me becomes a matter state. And if we increase it and feed it from inside, it becomes a plasma state.
So am I correct to say the body is pulsating between plasma and matter spontaneously? I mean,
Always. That's why you have a heartbeat.
okay, so is it the same thing as if I call it a subtle body and physical body? Because
You see what you can call, if you can go back to something, I wrote this to Dr. Rodriguez a couple of days, the day before. And you bring the subject up. With the permission of Dr. Rodriguez, I read it for you. Maybe you understand. Because once we teach one, it's with everyone the same. Just let me find it, then you understand it. Or maybe Dr. Rodriguez present, he can read it for you. Where do I find you, Dr. Rodriguez? There we are. I'll read you something because it will have a meaning for those who understand this. This is part of the medical teaching, but you will understand for those who elevate to understand the next step between the soul and matter or interaction. Correction of genetic is different ballgame. You need correction and imprinting in DNA. You use patches too, but dynamic system is more advisable to change DNA. You should allow slow genetic correction, otherwise you get it back. Which means even genetic into RNA can reverse back into DNA if you don't get it right because they interfere. But what it is this part which is important. If you can make RNA of the man, then you achieve it faster in being able to support the man, physicality or DNA. RNA is created by the soul of the man and soul of physicality of the man. So if you can create that, this will be 1 second job. But you have not reached that level of understanding of it. I teach you how to make RNA one day. It is too soon. Or maybe if you contemplate on my teachings, you will understand. And you will be able to do it. What it means, if you go back to it, it says RNA is created by the soul of the man and interaction with the soul of the physicality of the man. Where DNA is created by the interaction of the physicality of the man in the dimension of the plasma. It's the first time we open this channel of teaching. Because what is important is to understand that the non-dimensional, non-tangible condition, what we call RNA, is created by the interaction of the fields of the creation of the physicality of the man in interaction with the soul of the man. The water is created by interaction of the field of the earth and the sun and what they produce, and then they come together. If you look at the creation of the hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen or carbon, which leads to the creation of amino acid, where in respect to earth hydrogen is created? Closer to the earth or further away from the earth? And where is the nitrogen created? Closer to the earth than hydrogen or away from the hydrogen? And what the light we see is the composition of leftover of the strength of the whole lot of the oxygen, carbon, nitrogen and the rest of it. All the rays of the sun which comes to us is not from interaction of the fields of just the oxygen. Some is from nitrogen, some is from other matters. It's a composite. And it's in the ray form, which means it does not have gravity. It has only the attribute of magnetical, which means it's one direction that the gravity of the earth can attract it and is giving to. That's why sometimes, as to say, light is particle or is what we call ray. When it's particle, it has absorbed the, or it has been attracted or interacted with the gravitational magnetic field of the earth, which is weaker. And as the stronger field is, the weaker it passes through. And in that condition, you have a plasma which becomes, with the interaction with the fields of the earth, the light, the fields which shows its plasma. Where if it's from the interaction of the balance of the field, you get rays. But because again is of the higher order, tries to feed the earth that it comes. And in that process, in most of the time, as it's going through the atmosphere, it slows down and creates the matter condition in interaction with the inertia of the field of the earth. And it converts. The change of the temperature on the surface of the earth as you go up in reduction is the clear understanding of the science of the plasma, and nobody understands this. Why are you colder when you're at higher altitude but you're closer to the sun? It should be warmer. Where does the heat go? Or is the heat and the temperature is attributes of the fields which arrive to the planet Earth in interaction with the inertia of the planet, not with the gravitational magnetic field of the plasma of the soul of the planet. The inertia has a space gap very short. The plasma of the soul of the planet, what we call this gravitational magnetic field from the center, which is further out. That is why you feel temperature when you reach near the surface of the planet. Because now the fields which have traveled to space in interaction by the fields of the earth and the sun, now they have to interact with the fields of the mass of the inertia, matter state of the planet. In the depth of the space, the gravitational magnetic fields in the open spans of the universe hardly interact, because it's open space, it can travel in any direction. It's not zero, but it has zero plasma temperature in respect to the universe. The universe, temperature of the universe across the plasma of this universe is constant across it, unless you have conditions of the interaction of the fields. It's very much what you call sea level is zero. The whole plasma of the universe is at zero level gravitational magnetic field, unless there is an interaction between the fields of different entities in a given position. So if you understand why it gets warmer as you come close to the surface of the planet, is to do with the gravitational magnetic field of the mass of the inertia of the matter state of the planet, and nothing else. And why you have the seasons is purely totally in respect to that, and nothing else. Because when you tilt a little bit away, the field, gravitational magnetic field of the earth, have lower interaction. It's not what it says that we go further from the sun. We go further from the sun. Now totality is left to the inertia of the planet to interact, and there is not that much. It's the compression of the fields of the sun which pushes in the gravity, which allows the creation of the heat. That's why in the summer it's hot, because the inertia of magnetical field can spread up, even though the gravitational magnetic field has, but interaction is at depth. Understand the principle and the concept of the creation, because that's why you have a temperature in your skin. It's the same and nothing else. And if you can embed that constantly, you create what you call RNA. And that RNA dictates the creation of the physicality, what we call DNA. Creation is very simple. Maintaining it at a given condition is not that hard. It's just that you have to understand the whole structure and not focus on one thing.
Mr. Keshe, talking about RNA, actually, that brought something to my attention. I'm not sure if I'm correct. You see, I was thinking I'm carrying the memories of all my ancestral, like, I don't know how far it goes back. So I'm not connected. So if I carry all those memory, if it's on RNA, then my original strengths, I mean, I've seen a glimpse of it. That's beautiful. But then this memory, if this memory is playing out, then if I can erase it, erase the memory, I go back to the original totality. So is the same, am I correct to say that's the same thing as RNA, the memory that I have?
RNA, what you call RNA of the man, is the collection of all the interaction of the fields of the past times of the same fields. It's the positioning of the fields which attained, and it's so fine, it's so strong that it can last, and it does carry on to exist. So what your great grandfather saw is on the disk, but now the disk is gone, but the noise is still there. And in the interaction of the fields of your mother and your father, which led to your creation, that disk is just being copied down. You carry the same copy as your brother, your sister, and everybody else. And then whatever you have added, you add more. It's a low disk which keeps on adding up, but because it's a plasma, has no limitation. But on the other hand, does it expire? Does it diminish? Not really. Because it's continuously kept at the same position. If doctors and scientists understand this position of the RNA, and understand the RNA is an interaction of the fields of the soul of the man, the soul of the physicality at a given point and direction and position, then most of the diseases become solvable in seconds. But we're reaching there. The scientists will reach there very quickly. The point of the change of the course for mankind has arrived. And in time, we need to understand that how, without prejudice of course, we've been created and what has led to our creation. Do we carry part of the soul of the universe imprinted in our RNA, that when we come to that point of the universe, we say it's a deja vu, I've been here? Of course it is. It's part of us, it's within us, it's a structure of us. And if we think we only carry the memory of this planet and mother and father and great grandfather, by God, you've got a long way to come yet. In the imprint of the RNA of the man lives and exists the imprint of the life of the universe. But man does not understand till to get to that point. A long way to go.
Mr. Keshe, also, you know, what I realize, everything that man has created on this planet, it's something that we have it inside. So, for example, if I have a heater in the house, I have the ability to create heat in my body. If I create an air conditioner, I have the ability to make myself cool. If I created a plane, I have ability to fly. If I create anything, because this is the image we have inside of us, that it comes to the intelligent mind and we brought it into physicality. Now, don't you think it's time for us to know that everything that is in body, we can manifest with this body? Why do we need to make a spaceship again in physicality? Why can't you just teach us how to press what button in this body?
Why do I need to teach you? I already taught you.
So
You're not listening.
I'm not listening. So
Oh, I mean, humanity. In time, we'll understand. I was in a meeting yesterday. And they brought a material on the table, and it's typical me because, you know, I'm like a little child, would like to put everything in my mouth and taste of whatever, and do things with it or touch it. I put my hand in this matter, and as I was touching it, I was tasting it, because I carry within the structure, always done, I taste things through touch. When I touch radioactive material, when I touch nanomaterial, when I touch matter, I taste it. I know what it creates in my mouth. And I said, this is a nanomaterial. This material, and secondly, it carries a radiation with it. Because, and they tell me it's radioactive, or so much of it creates radiation. And I said, can you tell me more? It's us. We don't need buy expensive detector and say if this is this or that. We have blocked that as part of our own knowledge. It's the ability to be able to touch, and with the touch to be able to see if it's good for me. What does it do to me? What does it bring to me? When I touch radioactive materials, I've done for years as part of my work, I taste it. I know if it is a gamma, if it's the what kind of radiation this material does. It's the same when I used to be dealing in diamonds. By touching the stone and looking at it, I can tell which river it comes from, which part of the world, at what condition was created. Because to me, the barrier of the physicality is not there. So I feel the energies.
Mr.
When somebody lies to me, let me explain to you. When somebody lies to me, does it lie to them? But I listen to the lie. I feel the lie. When somebody tells me a good story, I feel, but I still have to play the ignorant, that I don't see. But it needs a lot of tolerance, it needs a lot of patience, it needs a lot of understanding of the interaction of your own body to be able to reach that point.
Mr. Keshe, I understand this. For example, right now I can feel a lot of changes. Like, for example, if I hold my hand and I close my eyes, energy in my hand goes about 1 meter ahead, but I don't know what is this, what should I do with it, what can I do with it, and other stuff is happening. So I get some clues.
You learn. Let it go 10 meters and see what you feel. See if you can tickle somebody. See if somebody, you can reach it. I do that quite a lot. Caroline gets really fed up with me. I do things. I was explaining this to somebody. It's not something which I've done from something I'm aware I can do. I walked into an office. I was with my mother years and years ago. And there was like 50, 60 counters. And there's some few hundred people waiting. And we're sitting there maybe 2 or 3 hours for our time to get. When I walked in, I said to my mom, you see that girl? I'm going to go there. She said, you allow us like this. I said, you wait, you watch. And we waited 2 or 3 hours. And the number called, the girl was there. I said to my mom, you see, Mom? My mom said, how do you do this? I said, because my soul wanted to see it. I like being with her. And she calls it, she waits till the time comes, and it's there. It's us who has to reach physicality and go beyond it. It's us who has put a limitation on us. It's not that I can do now. You always could do, but then you become aware of it, because now you're trying to find the strength of the soul, the strength of your own soul, and beyond your boundary of physicality. A lot of people have problem because they don't see it, and then to them it doesn't exist. It's a lot of hot air. But as man matures, and as you will start understanding, you enter the spaceship of the dimension of the physicality, then you see the other dimension. Many people will change once they enter and they feel the condition of the flight in the spaceship. Instantaneously they mature in what they have not understood about their own creation. And when you get on a board of an aircraft, it's the physicality which changes. When you enter a spaceship, it's the soul of the man which matures and changes. The soul of this spaceship we call Earth has created this condition, that we all go through the same motion. When you enter into the spaceship which you travel in, you will understand very rapidly the change in you. Changing physicality, because it's created and controlled by the soul of the man, so he elevates your soul to his point, and then you find evolution of the soul of the man. Very, a lot of you will feel this, and a lot of you who listen to these teachings say, how did he know? I've been there for thousands of years, many years. Those who plan to do wrong, we are aware of. We just close our eyes, but we change the course as is our wish, and the way we do, we reach their soul. But you don't need to. You just create a condition that they're all on a catch-up base. Man has a lot of power. It's for him to realize the strength of his power and understand his power can only create positive move and not negative. Sometimes we think negative, but that is the point of maturity that allows us to see further on. It's the wisdom of the soul. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. We had a question from Dan earlier in the Q&A. I'm not really clear on the question. Maybe Dan can open his microphone and ask the question. I'll allow you to speak there, Dan, and if you can go ahead.
Okay, good day. It's I already answered for my question. It's why it's only magnetical from the source from ray. Why it's moving only? Why it's not gravitational? But I understand its limitation. It's attract from another more stronger. In principle, it's magnetical.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other question?
If you allowed, I have one question for Mr. Keshe.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Saying I have the disk field with no, it's the only field of GANs, making this free layer like a skin. I obtain the field, the disk, up and down. My question is how to interpret this gradient. I have, for example, H3, no, H, one element in certain proportion, ratio, or gradient. When in empty box of universe, putting this umbrella wires for inject, it's not for collect, it's for collegate this field for activate which field create in what zone. It's needed from wire for for obtain this gradient, or it's already enough only intention, only seeing and knowing what is this field. For I don't know, it's one example for clarification. I have one, for example, 1 gram of field obtained from 1 gram of hydrogen, gas of hydrogen, with 10 of water. Another layer ring in this disk, it's 2 to 10. Another, it's 3 to 10. Obtain certain gradient. How to know what gradient is created between when it's plasma flow between this field? Thank you. It's complicated.
You see, if you use a pipe, you have this problem. But if you actually make gases of different ratios and put them in the disk, you find out they hold their position. And then they create their own gradients, they create their own motion. You can create a condition that different layers move in different direction and speeds of the same thing. You have to understand what the ratio is. In one of the Keshe Foundation research centers, they're testing this, and it's interesting to see it. Because I haven't understood the other part of it, but at least the one step forward. And that is, they have a jar like this, and the flow of the plasma is in that direction. You can actually see it in GANS state. But this is the limitation that they have. If they understand furthermore, they will create the same GANs moving the other way. In different layers. But that's still in the maturity of time. So what you can do, if you turn it sideways, it's the same as your risks. You can create different strength that different layers move in different directions. And then this creates yourself a lift and motion. Dynamic disks can fly, can find position in respect to each other. Many of you who have watched my teaching in the past, and you've seen sometimes Rick does the same. We put a magnet here, this magnet here, and you hold this magnet here, and then you see this jumping to it. Just watch how it goes, how the fields balance each other, that this flies. When it's very strange, I explained this in before.
This magnet from holding in the hand a disk magnet and one above changed the direction of the space flight for NASA. When we attended with one of the Keshe Foundation original directors, we went to Strasbourg to meet at Space University in Strasbourg while top scientists of European Space Agency and NASA had a meeting. They asked us to meet them there, and they wanted to understand what we discovered, what is the Keshe Foundation process of the space flight. And I thought these guys don't understand a thing, and we better show them something very simple that these simple-minded scientists understand. I kept two magnets in hand and I showed them, I said, you see these two magnets, they have the same property. I can put them together, disk magnets, and they repel, they get a distance. Or they attract, they come together. It was okay, no more to see this magnet. I said, but the difference is, look, if I put the smallest magnet in my hand and I hold that one up, how I spend any energy to fly? And I explained the principle behind it, where both have gravitational in respect and a magnetical in respect to the other side. The top guy stood up, he said the game of space has changed. This guy's discovered the gravity. And we can give you the dates and the point of meeting it. Very rapidly, NASA closed the jet propulsion. But they have not matured to understand the work of the plasma. You got to understand, it's not just this which pulls. You have this guy there with pushes. At the same time, this guy is pulling, where this guy is pushing. And the magnet does not fly plop, it flies with balancing itself. So when you speak about solid state magnets, you have that. But when you work with disk magnets, disk plasmas, you have to understand you can create gravitational magnetic field in respect to each other, and then you can control the flight. You can control the removal of plasma gans inside it, which means allows you to create life. If you watch and understand in the future, the incubator which create life does not need much, it just needs RNA. And if you can find two RNA of different strength in one dimension or the other, you create life, and you can control it. Many races in space do this.
I learned it and I really did. All I'm not a secret. It's making this thing. When he create the gas, the soul, the everything.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
I can remind the attendees that you can put your hand up and I can allow you to speak here. And the panelists, anybody that's on the panelists can go ahead if they like.
Don't want to put many questions. If you allowed, I make another question.
Can we allow other people to ask if they have any question, please?
Yes.
And then, thank you very much. So we can ask question. There is no question, so we can go home early today.
Okay, thank you. It's always about this ring, this plasma field. In can I annotate because it's very difficult for putting in words what is my mind.
You can share the screen. You don't need to annotate. Close.
No. It's enough. Okay, thank you.
You got to share the screen.
I don't have this possibility.
What, to share the screen?
We need the whiteboard, I think, for him to draw on. So if you want to put your whiteboard back on, Mr. Keshe, you should be able to annotate on that.
Okay. Let me clean up. Just 1 second. I have to do a few little magics here. There we are.
Can you work your annotate tools there, Dan?
I don't have with my phone. In this moment, I don't have. I explained in the words, perhaps Mr. Keshe understand what it's my mind.
Or maybe we can draw what you're saying to sort of put words on it, put a picture on it.
Making three disc. Three rings. Three disc. I cannot tell why.
Do you want to draw on 3 discs, Mr. Keshe, or perhaps I could, or someone else?
Okay. Well, this is the disk. Okay, let me just take in the line. That's the disk. Yep.
Yeah. Saying upper, it's like a CD disc with gains in different ratio. Up, in top. Okay.
This way?
Yes. Up,
Yep.
I have many inner rings, no, like a paint, with guns in different proportion, different only hydrogen or tritium or deuterium, what
Yeah.
in different ratio. No, it's that way. It's like a ring, but it's understanding also. And now this is the problem. When you make a ring from outside or from inner, not in horizontal way, in vertical way, putting like say making disc shape. Perhaps rejoining. I leave and re-entry. Perhaps I have a modality for annotate. It's better because I don't want to use your precious time.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Perhaps we can pick up on that later if we have time. Let's see, what do we have here? There was something I wanted to...
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. Is that Armin?
Yes. May I ask a question?
He's awake. Yep.
When you say you create gradients...
Where are you, Armin?
Where I am?
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
No, I can't hear you. I just hear blah, 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 blah. You get cut off.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
When you say create gradients of different gases.
Yes, we can hear you.
But in empty disk, you don't have any gases. You have a field of the gases. So you don't need to layer it. They will layer it themselves.
Very much. But we are all at different stage of learning. No? It's what you were explaining to me earlier on today, in what you set up. And each one of us gets to understand more, some of us feel better to work with the physical tangibility of it.
How did your empty disk attain the fields, Armin?
Yes, of course.
It's a progressive.
Huh?
Pardon me, I couldn't hear either one of you.
Oh, it's so advanced, you haven't seen it.
Huh?
Here's are these elements. Come on, Arman, explain. You're a master in this.
Okay.
I think he's got a problem with his internet.
No. 1 minute, let me annotate this. I'm on my tablet.
Okay, I'm gonna go out and you come in.
No, it's okay, it's okay. Okay, whiteboard here. Oh, this is too thick. What I notice, if I have 3 electrodes and I scratch a little bit over here, a nano-coating material, and just to wind it itself, you create a motion. Each field is different millivolts. But if I connect this to this, it doubles up. It goes up to half a volt, 400 millivolts, 500 millivolts. But I was doing with empty. Actually, it's not empty. It's just a little bit moist inside the disk. So if I have another disk, and I have 1 electrode, even this electrode is not connected. If I touch the head, I can measure more than 200 millivolts of energy flow, which is huge. I'm trying to do different tests and to see the interaction of 2 disks. You can add on, Mr. Keshe, a little bit more. Hello? He's gone? Hello? Anybody?
I hear you, Armin. I'm hearing you here.
One more thing. If you wrap it up with different material, let's say
Yes,
iron.
when you're teaching, we are learning.
If iron or zinc, it's totally different. If I have iron electrode, it's totally different. It goes up to 700 millivolts. So for me, each pattern is a package of energy, different strength. So even 1 nano-coated material, from the beginning when you start to nano-coat, you can capacitate different materials, different fields. Hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, zinc, calcium, and all the rest of the elements. discuss nano layers.
But Aaron, can I say something here?
Mhm. Yes, of course. We lost you, Mr. Keshe.
I see the microphone is open. I'm not sure if maybe he's having some trouble there. Can you try your microphone again there, Mr. Keshe? It's not open now.
Come on, can you make a... I saw you doing it today. Can you make a video of this and show it next week? Because I can't touch you coming through a different program, and we found out with the new Zoom there is a problem. From Apple we cannot animate on yours and you cannot do on ours. So do with this Zoom, what do you call it, program. But if you could take the gap between the two discs. Rick, can you hear me?
Yes, you're coming through now. Fine.
Hello.
Yes, we hear you, Mr. Keshe. Can you hear us? Hello? Hello, Mr. Keshe. I don't think you're able to hear us right now. Maybe your microphone is not on.
I can show you, Mr. Keshe, if you like.
Maybe you want to write to him that we can't hear him.
I have a problem with my system.
Okay, well, we can hear you right now, but you can't. Can you hear us? Can you hear me? Okay, your microphone's off now, Mr. Keshe, so we won't be able to hear you until. I think maybe he's out and he's coming back in. Still waiting for him to come back. I think he's probably switching systems or something there in order to come through more clearly. I think we're still waiting for Mr. Keshe to come back. Hopefully he's got it, making a good connection there. Is there anything you wanted to draw and set up in the meantime, Armin, or did you want to wait till Mr. Keshe gets back?
I can show you a video if he comes back.
Okay, great.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you now. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Can you hear me, Mr. Keshe?
Sorry, I fell out.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So we were talking to you before, and we could hear you for a while there, but you couldn't hear us, apparently. Okay, so you're still there? You got muted somehow, Mr. Keshe. It's maybe some, I'm not sure if it's doing it at your end or if it's just automatically happening.
Can you hear me now? I'm back.
Yes. Yes. Hello.
Hello. Hi. Sorry about this. I told you we're gonna have some problem today.
Yeah, it's been fairly good till now. So, so Armin is has a video apparently that he can show.
Yes, but the thing is, I was trying to tell Arman, between the gap between the two discs, it's the same. He's still working on the current flow, where if he works on the plasma flow, he will get much more response.
Yeah, I know, Mr. Keshe. I'm just going.
I'm trying to push away from matter working in current and to work on the plasma.
Okay. I'll do that then.
Because we passed that point. We got to move into the flow of the plasma, and that way we can go much faster in the structure of the what we call the space technology. You need that energy to create flow. Are you going to show us?
Oh, you are willing to. Okay. Here. Can someone allow me to? No. You cannot start your video because the host. Can you allow me to open my video, please?
Rick, be kind to him. He's an
You
old
should be
man.
able to. There now, Armin. Okay. Okay, so let's get it spotlighted and highlighted here in just a second.
Can you hear? Can you see the?
Yeah, we just see a small square on the side.
I think we have to. Yeah, we have to stop this. There we go. Thank you. Flint.
See, I have 4 electrodes over.
We just see a little things sticking out. Go further back out. Go towards your drill.
No, I wanted to show the voltage change. How about now? It's good enough?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Look, the only one electrode. Now look 2.
You remember that empty space of universe?
Now look this one.
Yeah, but hold it there, don't move. I'll show you something. Hold it there, don't move. Just keep it there. Stay there, hold it there.
It's almost a 1 volt.
Yeah, you should reach 1.2 volts. This is usually depends what's the depth of the electrode in a liquid or in a space, empty space. This is what we showed in the Coca-Cola bottle about 10 years, 15 years ago. But
Hello, did you say something? Say something there, Mr. Keshe? You lost your audio, I think. Can't hear you, Mr. Keshe, if you're trying to speak.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back. Hear you now.
Can you hear me? Arman, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So what happened? This is what we achieved in the what do you call it? In the Coca-Cola bottle. We noticed this goes to 1.2, 1 volt to 1.2 volt. But what you got to understand now, we are looking for is if you have this box inside a box, or in respect to another box, you can use the energy in between, which is a plasmatic.
Yeah.
And I see these are the old, looks like old Kodak film bottles.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, yes.
Listen, I know this from the day I opened my eyes, I could see these things.
This is this one. This one I brought it from home. I had it, a long time ago. So I just found
You
it.
see now, if you
This
take
one, the new
another
one.
box, yeah, this is moving. At least some of you start buying these discs and you can see it. If you take this voltage and current which you take from this bottle and connect it to different GaNs layers in that disk and see what happened to the GaNs layers, and then in the trust you have, you can move the GaNs to liquid, then you will see the GaNs what we call plasma of the GaNs itself. If you position the right way, that disk will fly.
Here.
Yeah. Any day, you don't need to put it, just leave. If you have to connect. You see, now what we're trying to explain and we're trying to take further is the introduction of the plasma field into the GaNs or a plasma liquid. But we go a step further, where you can create a plasma, you control the flow of the plasma through the plasma itself to create field motion and tangibility. You don't, if you're creating a plasmatic field in a battery and then you're trying to connect it to a liquid or to a meter to show it. So if you connect it to the GaNs or to the plasma of the GaNs in that disk, and you can add different voltages in different layers of that disk, you will find out the disk will start shaking and shivering and moving. It's understanding what you have created. Cold plasma technology, what we develop here, is what we call room temperature plasma. It is something which is not known. We create a massive heat, lights in these things. But if you can do that and understand what you have there, you should be able to do magics with this.
I know. And thank you for the knowledge, Mr. Keshe.
Oh, you're always welcome. But now try to put another bottle next to this bottle or somewhere gap between and put a nanomaterial and take the plasma field of it into that disk and you see wonders. In that bottle you have, you're still dealing with a matter state because there's some fields inside you have moisture or whatever. But make another bottle and put next to it with a space gap and put a nano layer electrode into a GaNs in 2-3 different positions of the GaNs and see how it'll change, how the things will move. This is the step we are going there. This is a step we are trying to develop to get there.
Meaning if I have two containers, so in between the fields to take it to the
plasma disk, yeah.
Yeah, here. Okay.
Yeah. But you have to create motion in both at the same time, that there is a flow flying between the two disks. Then you go in fact into a plasmatic condition and no more matter state condition.
But each nano, pin has its own field creation.
Yes, but now you can take those fields, but use them to create motion in the disk and then connect it back. It has to be a control conversion on it. And then you'll see if you have a GANS in that disk or you have a plasma in that disk, how they behave. You have to leave these disks free to be able to, for them to find position. And further on, once you learn this and you understand the interaction of the field of the disks, then you create spheric dynamic systems. The two plates you have there, if you can create the right condition on it, in between them you should be able to see a sphere. That's the skin of the man. And then that will decide the speed of rotation on the top and the bottom. Some of the Keshe Foundation research teams have already achieved this level of motion in the liquid. We achieved it weeks ago in China.
What do you guys think of the idea from Jedi in the comments here? He says, try with sound, please. Rise the frequency and voltage by adding sound. Test it with the physical sound and then with the plasmatic sound. Resonators will introduce change that will manifest energy in different ways.
What is sound? It's another part of magnetic field structure.
What about the concept of resonance in this setup? Is that relevant here, Mr. Keshe? You mentioned that we don't use frequencies, or the universe doesn't have frequencies.
No, it doesn't have a frequency, so how can you have
But
resonance?
what about resonance? What about some sort of interconnection, like there are
You all
between?
interconnect. When you speak about the plasma, the interaction interconnection is profound. You can even do, but how you do it, how you create that balance with it. You have to have that exchange in the field strength.
Mr. Keshe?
Yes, sir.
Good day, Mr. Keshe. I have a question regarding this. What is the difference in the disk nano-coated inside, or disk nano-coated outside, or disk nano-coated both sides?
Not much.
When you have a GANS, it's already plasmatic.
So you can capture the fields of the GANs very easy if you understand how
You see,
nano-coated.
yes, but then you have created a bandwidth filter. You create a bandwidth of magnetic gravitational field plasma at a given strength.
Yeah, and in this way you can do to the nano-coated.
Maybe.
It's one way, I know. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome. You see, you got to understand when you nanocode, especially like these copper wires, we set up the copper wire even if you decide to take the point of reference or energy from, can make a lot of difference.
And also, can we use the method of the pen to transfer energies?
Why not? You can transfer, and if you can do it, you can do it any means, as long as you don't go to the matter state at the end use.
Thanks.
Any other question? Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Just looking at our list here.
It's good to see
comment.
that. It's good that to see many of you. It says try to unplug your headset and speak. It's not to do with my headset. I got a bad bandwidth. I see they keep on saying your bandwidth is not stable. It's good to see some of you have moved into the disk testing. It means we are progressing. It means we are moving into the right direction. Shall we? Is there anything else, or shall we call it a day?
There was a comment from Jedi that he wanted me to read, I guess. It says, resonance is in fact a magnetic, gravitational, electric, etheric state of vibration of all the fields. Heat will show up, light as well. By controlling this plasmatic sound or etheric resonance, all the elements will interact. Fire, water, earth, and air will mix and configure themselves. He goes on, it's not frequency in the sense of a singular value. It is ratio of a very high dimensional order. It has to do with orders of magnitude. Okay, well, I'm not sure what to say about that. If you have any comment about that, Mr. Keshe, you can, or we can let it stand as is.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I have a bad internet.
Can you hear me okay?
We don't have to, we don't speak or work around resonance in the plasma. But everyone has his own translation of the knowledge and interpretation of the knowledge.
Mr. Keshe, it's Randor from Budapest, Hungary. Can I ask something back to the previous part when you explained about the magnetical and gravitational basics? If I may share my screen eventually. So let's try to use the annotation tool. Okay, and trying also to draw something. So if we are talking about the diagram of strength versus distance, and we have in, let's say in the origin in point A, we have a field, and we have another in point B, be it at any distance or infinity or whatever. If I understood well, we have a gravitational component which is exponentially stronger toward the point of center, which is A here, and it goes weaker and weaker in exponential way as we go further. In the same time, we have a magnetical component which goes in the opposite way. So it strengthens, it goes stronger and stronger as we go further from the center point. Is that correct? Mr. Keshe, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me? I said it depends on the strength of the point of the observation on the B side.
Yes. So B, its point of observation. Okay, so now let's say in the point where these two are matching in strength, in that point we can have a barrier, a manifestation of a barrier of surface.
Very much so.
Okay,
but,
so yes?
Yeah, but it's in the plasmatic field of strength.
Of course.
And you can do a lot with it. You can do a lot with it. Sometime in the space technology, we call these points 0-point reference, because it's the only place that we can compare to on either side, both for magnetic and gravitation.
I see. So in order to change the strength of the point of manifestation, can we manipulate either the gravitational or the magnetical in such a way to make this matching point in a different place?
You see, if I was you, I'd draw it maybe the wrong way or the right way. You reach the point here of this way, where here you go that way. When you reach a point here, you have another side.
We didn't see the here and there. It came late.
Yeah, this is the point, you don't go through the 0 point, but at the same time it turns back up. Logarithmically the same, or if you want to do it this way. This we see if you, for example, what the battery was showing, if you hold it, you have a point of energy conversion, and then it just drops again. Many of you have seen the positive, negative into it. The drop and the rise here, you'll find that it will switch in plasma. Depends what is the source of reference and what you got to remember, and this I mentioned many times before. In plasma technology, you don't have point of singularity and the point of start, and there is nothing else. There is always something somewhere.
So we would need to have 2 points in the space in order to have both magnetical and gravitational. One relative to the other.
Because those 2 points themselves have magnetic or gravitation. It's like a man swimming in the water, in a bowl of water. You're just in the middle. Every direction is the same.
It's just distance without direction.
More or less.
One directional space, I mean. When we define only distance from a point of reference and not the direction, not the angle.
Yep. You got to look at the strength on either side, both gravitational and magnetic.
From the
if you can play the magnetical against gravitational against magnetical, you achieve point of perpetual rotation.
can we change?
That should answer you.
So we can change the point of manifestation of the barrier, but by changing either the gravitational, either the magnetical component. So we can move it, for instance, here in the dotted line, we change the magnetical, gravitational the same, and this point is different, and here we have another level of strength where this barrier is created. Can we compare that for easier understanding, like in the kids' workshop with a air balloon, which has a barrier B, which position depends once of the elasticity of the, not exactly of the elasticity of the rubber, but of the pressure inside and the pressure outside.
You see, in a plasma technology, we don't have this. There is no. What I'm trying to push you to think in a plasma condition. Don't go back between matter trying to confirm something in the plasma.
I'm thinking of trying to find a model to explain easier to people, something which cannot be seen.
Yes, I understand that. But you got to remember, you got to realize that when you do this kind of trying to make such a definitions of understanding, try to put both sides on as a gravitational and magnetical, and the dimension of the field of tangibility.
So I understood we never have a field alone. In this universe, always we have some other field relative to it. There's an environment also, which both interact. Yes, I thought to the air pressure inside and the environmental pressure outside, for instance, which you can change the conditions in order to change the shape or the strength of the whatever is in that balloon used for demonstration.
Mr. Keshe?
Who is talking?
Yes.
Isn't it by the example, if I may so, that when you're holding the magnet and you're positioning them towards show their attractive repulsion, and didn't you also explain for the understanding that the magnets already have their own field strength going, pulling in and outwards around the magnet, let alone that you're showing that they are reacting towards one another differently? That's what the practice is.
Can you repeat?
Caroline,
You're
you
far away from a microphone.
I think you need to attach your microphone. We can barely hear you there.
Okay, just a second.
Is that better?
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah, I was working with Rubin's boosters. What I'm trying to, for it to be visually understood, or if I have even understood it correctly, I don't know, that, you know, when you use the two magnets, you hold one in the right and one in the left. And as you're going towards to show that they are repelling or attracting, at the same time as you're holding each magnet individual, they are already or having their own fields going inwards and outwards at the same time, even when you want to perform just to showing that they're repelling and attracting. So my point is that even the magnet itself on its own has a full flow of energy in all directions, in and out, as we have shown in the small videos. And at the same time that you're trying to move two, which are individually already beaming out and in and having all the field strengths working or present, then when you then want to show them towards each other to interact and repulse, isn't that the idea you want to explain to people, that there are so many at that same time fields showing and interacting with one another?
That's the whole principle about magnet. We cannot attract all, we cannot interact with all. At the same time, what interacts with you is what is stronger towards your position that it comes to you. So when you look at the magnets that's interacting with another magnet, that each magnet at the same time have their own fields which confirm their existence. That's understood. So we interact with part of the field of the same strength as what is approached. And there's still other fields which still possess and continue to possess. You can put different magnets in different side of one magnet and it interacts with all of them. Because it continuously has that field. As I said once and a few times, has anybody measured the strength of the field, or what do you call it, the speed of the motion of the magnetic field in magnets? In some points within the structure of the gravitational magnet, even the matter state, you pass the speed of light. Any other question?
We have a question in the Q&A from Hassan, but perhaps Hassan would like to actually ask his question. It might be easier. Hassan, I'll allow you to talk there and see if you'd like to say your question rather than me reading it. Do you want to say something there? Or I can read it if you like. Oh, he's not opening the microphone, so I'll go ahead.
Mr. Keshe, may I show you one more thing?
Yeah.
I came up with this silicone balls.
Yeah.
Each ball, we can soak it in different GANS liquid for different strength. So if I put it into the syringe in different strength, it will increase the interaction. I tried it and it works perfect.
Can you explain that? That for others to understand?
Each one, you can, this is soaked in CO2. But you can do copper oxide, zinc, different strength.
You have to explain, Armin, they come really small little pebbles to start with, right? And they expand
Yes.
after you put them in the liquid. They come as a tiny wee little piece.
Yes, when you're saying layering different GANs, you can layer it more easy.
Armin, a question. Are these the jellies that they're using to put in the plants?
No.
That they swell up water?
Yeah, they use it for that.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. You can buy these in the plant shops as well.
You can buy it online. It's very cheap, actually.
We lost your video, Armin.
1 minute. So my question is, Mr. Keshe.
Yeah.
If I put this kind of balls, so I can get different energies out of it, different interactions.
What?
Well, it's interesting. You got the syringe there, and you can actually put it under pressure, right? So you can create different conditions, or a vacuum by pulling the syringe the other way.
Yes. But as a paint pen, it works perfect.
Armin, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Haven't you paid attention to when you make the plates that you see things changing in your environment?
What do you mean? Change the plate?
I give you one example, that time changes.
For me, time no exist.
Yeah, that I know. When you travel so much, you lose your sense of time. No, I mean, it's like an awareness when you're around reactors or star formations or ganses, or you're working. It's like when you go out of the lab, you're like in a different time zone.
Sometimes I don't even notice how the time passes. So always I go home and it's like,
No, it would be nice for people to start
it's
paying
an addiction.
attention. Mr. Keshe, you made us all addicted to knowledge. Thank you for it.
The point is, not, a lot of us been told we don't understand, we don't see, we could not be, and now we see how simple and beautiful science is. Knowledge is knowledge of creation. All this biology, chemistry, physics and the rest is a man-made knowledge. Knowledge of creation is a plasmatic. And once we understand it and we see, oh my God, I can understand this, and I was told I can never understand physics, chemistry or biology, or couldn't do much in school with science. But this is the science of creation, is us. Belong to us, it's part of us, we live with it, we are born with it. And it's so logical that you don't need much to worry about. The only thing man will understand, this science does not have two things, time and space. And the life of the man is connected to both of them, and that's why man has problem to understand this technology and be able to use it. In the depth of universe there is no time and there is no space. And everything on this planet is connected to time and space. What time of the morning it is, how many centuries ago, and where am I? In a space you are where you are according to the strength of the need and want of the soul of the man. So you can never be somewhere out of time. And you're always in a position where the soul is in balance. So has no position. And this is the biggest problem for humanity as a whole. Space and time, and both does not exist.
Where can we start making the change in that to adjust? Because it's something that if we don't use it.
You see, the only time man will do is when man goes into space, there is no sun, there is no
sunrise, there is no evening, there is no time to be hungry, there is no time I haven't slept enough. In English language, when the criminals go to prison and they come out, we call them they are institutionalized. So they do more crime to go back in, because in there everything is there and they don't have to do anything. Man is institutionalized with the work and the rotation of this planet. And one of the biggest fear of man not going, always find this way not to understand the knowledge, because he knows when he goes out is that time and space gone. And this is one of the biggest stumbling blocks for humanity, time and space. 12 o'clock, have you been people who work in offices? 2 to 12, they start itching. At 12 o'clock, they have to run to eat because that's it. It's the time to eat. 6 o'clock, they have to eat. But if you're a businessman who have no office, you go from morning till lunch. So if it's there something to eat, you might eat, or if it's there at lunchtime or dinner. Man is institutionalized with the dimension of this planet. And once you go into space and you don't have that 24-hour rotation, when you don't have that annual rotation, when you don't have dependence on the food, that you have to have it, that it can move the physicality, it's a different life. I was sitting with the knowledge seekers yesterday, and there was this guy which was indicating where the car should go down the tunnel to go to car park. And I said, what a waste of creation. A mother or a father gives life to this man, nourishes him, educates him. And what he's got to do? To stand months, days after days, just showing with hand where a car can go? What a waste of soul. He's as intelligent as anybody else, but we have conditioned him to be able to sustain the physicality presence of it on this planet. You do this, we give you something that you can continuously confirm you exist. In a space we don't have this, and man cannot comprehend this. This is what is the biggest problem for humanity: understanding of the truth, the reality about creation. You are institutionalized. This planet is institutionalized to kill, to destroy, to be dependent on when the sun comes and when the sun goes. What happened? How many of these stars in the sky do you see sunrise, sunset? Or when you go to in the depth of the galaxy and you have thousands and hundreds of thousands of the suns just rotating, which one you're going to make your day according to, or which one you're going to make the night according to? It's the same thing. As I said, we had a very, what I call, original, very early followers of the Keshe Foundation that are still around from Saudi Arabia, the Turks in Saudi Arabia who were with us. They received the first books, very knowledgeable group, people, individuals. They went to the professors in Jeddah University. If I'm correct, it was Jeddah University. They wanted to become the first group of what they call knowledge seekers. And so the scholars have to ask me a question, and I explained to them, in a space we don't have direction to Mecca, because the earth is rotating, you are millions of kilometers away, and you're going in a different direction. Where is the Mecca? Where do you bend to? If you are a Jewish, which wall of you go and bang your head against? The, 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 when you understand the temple of the belief of the man has to be in the soul of the man, then there is no time, there is no position. The institution goes, the prison is not there to go back to, you call it the prison of earth. And then you become detached. You don't have to worry where the food comes, because it's there. Your body takes what it needs. And if you take a food of the higher order, you feed your soul, then physicality has no dimension. The soul takes, is exactly what I explained this earlier on today at the beginning. When you turn the physicality of man inside out, when the soul of the man takes over,
Then you see the, the real existence. At the moment, we are stuck with the skin out. So we have to turn it back out. And when the flare comes out, it has every direction to go to. And this is the problem for a lot of people. A lot of people will go to that point of barrier, point of understanding and knowing their souls. They'll come back to be physicality because they're scared. They're literally visualize what's going to happen to it. Because now I'm at the mercy of the soul of myself, where they understand. And it says, I made man in the image of myself. So if you have intelligence, if you have insight, if you have emotion, where do you think came from? So is the soul. That fear of physicality will go. And then you open yourself to understanding the totality or part of totality of knowledge of creation.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Keshe? It's
I've been
Caroline.
asking all my life. Carry on. Yeah.
It's just a curiosity to maybe to ease that kind of fear for a lot of people. Can that be created while still being on this planet, that they can go and feel and experience and elevate and taste that kind of change without actually having to go into space? You understand?
You do it in your sleep.
I know, but
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but my question is,
when you go to your sleep,
if you don't, if you
you can.
You know, to
There's
take
a
the
time
fear.
delay here. Speak.
Yeah, to remove the fear that they are not going or leaving to space, but that they still will be here on this planet and go in like you go to university to learn, to evolve, to grow, to understand, to sense. Can we create that condition first on the planet before they have to, or in their own free choice, then take the leap to go out? Is that possible?
A lot of us can do it, and sometimes we do it, and the fear of being that point brings us back to the dimension of physicality. That's why we dream. Dream is a connection between the world of physicality in real no dimension and the creation of or work of the soul. We all do it, but we are ignorant to it, and we can stay in that dimension. And you can move out of and be part of, and look at your physicality. It's there. What am I going to do with this thing here? I have managed to do this since I've been very young. I sit outside my physicality. So what am I going to do with this guy? It's here. I have to go back in it. The detachment comes knowing that part of your what we call the soul of physicality, which pulls you into it. When the soul of physicality is not there, we call the point of death. We become that, but you can do it. A lot of people do it many times. If you become aware of it, you sit outside. You sit with the souls, and you see your own physicality. You see the physicality of people around you, and you still sit with the soul. It's very easy to do. It becomes from detachment. I don't want to do with this, but I have connected. I made a commitment to it, to look after it till a point of whatever it decides to separate from me, not me from it. If you become detached, you do it. Many prophets of the past have done. You sit outside. This physicality is too cumbersome. I've done that from when I was very young. I sit outside the physicality. I've got no attachment to it, but it's there, and by law you cannot. Your soul cannot separate from the physicality. The physicality has got to separate itself from the soul. And when you sit there, you see it. It's there. It slips. It rolls. It does, but it's got nothing to do with me. It's the leech which has anchored me to it till it decides, even though in part I receive from it. Detachment from physicality is very easy when you're totally detached from knowing that this is just a space camp. The first times it happens is frightening. You think, is it possible? But as you become master it, you understand it is part of it. I can go back to early, much early, young ages, 6, 7, 8, I could do that. Not could do is something which is to me is a natural thing. Even at this age, I see my physicality in bed or whatever, when I got nothing to, but I have to be around it to make sure it's safe, whatever. That's why I'm like 24 hours alert, I'm there, it's just there, you have to handle it. It's a very easy if you become, that's why a lot of persons tell me that why did you give this technology, because I have no attachment, it's just knowledge which is with me, I have to pass on, and whenever the physicality decides that's the head of the abuse of this institution, what we call planet Earth, then it gives up and I can go. Many, many times. It's just too cumbersome to be here. It's no attachment. Things come to be there and you see things happen to exist. Any other question?
Well, we had a question from Hassan in the Q&A earlier, which I should ask. He says, what about the voice which is talking to us every millisecond and trying to bring us to elevation? Like you said, the prophet has received revelations by being infused with that plasmatic voice, let's say. That's the way of communication of the creator. Is it getting closer to this source by cleaning, like you said, the dirt of the window and letting the light of the sun enter? So you light more bulbs that will make us fly?
You see, understanding, any of us can make that conversion from the skin to the wool by turning inside out. But the what you want to see, what you want to achieve, it's very much different than what you have already achieved.
Well, that ties into
Many
this.
people.
Sorry.
Pardon.
He had the second part of the question. What the intent has to do with it, like you refer one day the story of your friend blessing the soul of the rats and his experiences, experiments, I think, and tests to get the results he needed to achieve. So I think you were mentioning about intention.
You see the condition of we decide on how our destiny is set, and we decide how to make the destiny in acceptance with the other souls. Uh, when, as I said now, maybe a lot of you who go into the dimension of the space technology in operation of control of the systems through your own emotion and what we call the soul of the man, because computers are too slow, and then you understand a lot in what has been taught.
It's a natural progressive evolution of the soul. The soul gets educated as much as the physicality. Yeah, we are very ignorant of it because we chose to become ignorant.
So would it be correct to say that the soul has like gradations of understanding, levels of understanding, perhaps?
It us who decide what to open the physicality. Soul has all of it. It's hard to know. When I was explaining this past few days ago to someone, when you reach the point of maturity of physicality, you find that the soul you carry does not fit, because the soul hasn't upgraded itself, as I call it. It's not there. It's partially stuck where it was. It needs to be more that it can match the physicality. And a lot of people will go through that now with this technology. The spectrum of the fields which you create for different applications, somewhere enlightens you. Some of it will mature you. It's not that you came to the wisdom, it's the fields you received has opened the next level of the strength of understanding of the soul of the man. It's a lot of you to you means nothing, but if you sit where I sit, then you understand exactly what I'm talking about. You that we are creating such a condition. It's just look what we did today. We put a few pictures and we elevate their souls. We used to go and cross the road and see a beggar and you put money in the pocket or money in the pocket for them. Now we see the craft, these world leaders, to that we give from our, we used to give money, now we give from our soul, we give from essence of creation for them to become as rich as us to understand what peace means. Why do we elevate these presidents and their wives and the rest of it? Because we have reached from us, many of you wish to be, but if you haven't reached that peace point, then you cannot give something which are lower and you don't understand. Those of you who become detached and give from your soul reaches these presidents, because then they receive part of what they don't have, and with that the soul elevation creates the physicality elevation. It's very, very simple, extremely simple, and doesn't need for you to be God knows a prophet to understand it. As I said in one of my talks, and it offended a religious man. I said the prophets in the past been there for the profit of themselves. They changed things. The prophets became profiteers for what they could have. And the understanding of it is you when you elevate you, your soul by be able to elevate your physicality, soul of physicality is a strange development, but you go through it and you see it, because the soul of physicality has reached a maturity that the soul of the man has not opened that door yet to go further up with. It's not that it doesn't have, it has to go and get it. It's just that you have to go a higher level. And we can reach that point. All of us can reach it. And they brainwash people to think about doing this and that. They reach something and then they go to this level and that level. We see it in fanaticism in respect to some religions. Planning destruction and murder of somebody because it doesn't fit into the way of being taught that the God is. You just need to elevate their soul and they walk out of it.
The guy who straps himself with a bomb and just blows himself up that you go to heaven, hell, where that key has set. We call it as now Crusaders in Christianity done the same. They went through that phase. They robbed and they stole. And we see where they are. And we see the new wave, different names and things. Became fashionable, so people start understanding. And you got to realize the soul of the man has to be aware of the physicality of man, versus the physicality has to be aware of the soul. And any one of you can elevate their own soul, but you have to understand, does the physicality fits that can carry that elevation? Those who were around me, they know when I received the message when I was 18, 19, I refused to accept. I flatly refused. Because I said I'm not mature enough, I cannot carry. It would not be done correctly.
You know, to go up to the Holy Lodge from the cemetery.
Excuse me, can you close that, please?
Yes,
and when I received the message for the second time, in my late 20s, early 30s, I refused to accept. Because I wasn't mature, I could not do what I did today. And when I accepted the message, in my early 40s, it was clear, I carried it out. And this is why I can carry what I do. The knowledge of physicality matches the soul. And the strength of the soul carries it. Young prophets make mistakes out of lack of experience. All the prophets who accept what we call the message to carry always comes out of maturity of age, that they understand how to handle.
It's £3. £3 we do like that.
I think she's shopping to go to a graveyard. This is what each one can come to maturity of the totality of their own. Christ was too young, he could not understand how to handle it, so he got carried away with the time. Look at the life of Baha'u'llah, he accepted the old age and he set up a structure for it from the experience he had. When we look at the life of other, like Buddha or others, it came out of maturity of time. Then you become detached from physicality. You just open the soul to a higher level of the same soul, but in that level has received a maturity. It's your soul, just because you don't see it doesn't mean the higher levels don't exist. They exist, they coexist along with. It's like when you draw that circle of plasma, there's still the inner stronger still exists and they have their own lives. So your soul at a higher level still communicates with the souls of the higher, but you're not aware of it. It's not accessible because you don't see it. You're not aware. You are not mature enough to be. It's like when a child goes into a room with an adult sitting and talking about something. It makes nothing. What it does do, He plays with his computer because what they're talking about, the political economy, doesn't mean anything to him. His economy and his politics is that little gadget he's playing with. And it's the same with the soul of the man. Man is that little child playing. It doesn't mean that the adults doesn't sit there and other older ones sitting there and doing what they've already done and developed, and that at the end of it makes the economy for the guy to play his game. The soul of the man is that little child. The rest of the soul operation of the universe carries on within the structure of the soul. Any other question? Shall we call it a day? It's nearly 3.5 hours.
Yes, I think that's appropriate, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully we meet. We might have a wonderful news for you next week.
Some wonderful news.
1st of November. Yeah, next week is the 1st of November, and we'll see. And maybe the beginning of a new cycle for many of us. And don't forget, please, to elevate the soul of these world leaders. One needs to be elevated, one needs to have to elevate the others. And this is a very strange position man has found himself. We elevate the soul of the President Xi of China, as he has to deal with a bunch of what I call unruly children. And we pray for the soul of the President of the United States. This unruly child understands the balance of the soul. So one needs to be supported at how to handle the child to be balanced. Thank you very much for today. And hopefully we might have a wonderful news for you by next time, but we'll wait. If it's there, we'll let you know. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good, Mr. Keshe. Thank you once again for yet another of these Knowledge Seekers workshops. And I think everybody appreciated today's teachings. Let me see, is there any other announcements we have to make? Nothing comes to mind right now, so I guess we'll close off. This has been the 247th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, October 25th, 2018. Thank you everybody for attending and participating today. And I think Flint will have a video for us to go out with.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate. The development of the Keshe Foundation medical equipment has resulted in many different devices within the Foundation's medical inventory. One of these medical devices is the plasma ball unit. The plasma ball unit mainly consists of several spheres which are mounted on motors and therefore rotate at certain speeds, which can be regulated using a controller. Inside the spheres, different types of ganses in different physical states can be placed. The combination of ganses of various field spectra are used and concentrated to balance the fields and hence the matter of the human body. The plasma ball unit is built of high-quality materials and can be applied very flexibly. Thanks to the articulated arms mounted on a casted frame, every shielded motor can be moved freely in all directions. Materials used for the plasma ball unit are laser-cut and powder-coated stainless steel for the base frame, on which 3 sockets for the carbon fiber rods are fixed. On these vertical carbon fiber rods, the articulated arms, mainly out of carbon fiber, are mounted and can be moved freely. Thanks to the articulations, many geometries can be achieved to address every part of the body and create different types of concentrated fields. A maximum of 8 articulated arms can be mounted on a single casted frame, and 2 frames can be placed opposite one another so as to increase the number of articulated arms that can be positioned around a lying body. The plasma ball unit is a CE-certified medical Type 1 device and is delivered as a kit. Most of the components are pre-assembled, and completing the assembly takes a maximum of 15 minutes. The price of a plasma ball unit with 4 articulated arms is €4,900 excluding VAT and shipping. Payment by installments is possible. €2,500 when you order, €1,250 on delivery, and the rest 1 month later. The plasma ball unit can be ordered at http://store.keshefoundation.org. Order today and bring balance back to your life and the lives of those you care for.
Plasma products found at keshefoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. Bring comfort back to your feet and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap. Promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula. CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance. European certified. Pain Relief Pen. Emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin. CE certified. The Magrav's Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshefoundation.org/store or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.